time. Okay, welcome everybody to the Tuesday, May 19th Builder Virtual Town Hall. I'm Meredith Oliver. I am your host of Meredith Communications. We do rockstar digital marketing for home builders, and we love doing it, especially when the website visit numbers and the live chat numbers and the click to call numbers are what they have been for the past 30 days. That has been particularly satisfying when you're a digital marketer. But more on that in just a second. As you guys come in and everybody gets situated, I just asked the group for if you want to put in the chat box your favorite clutch go-to COVID-19 snack that has gotten you through this. Like if you were on a desert island or self-quarantined for 10 weeks in your home. Oh wait, we just have been. What do you like to eat? So go ahead and chat that in. While you're doing that, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update. First of all, we are going to go monthly. So I'm going to take next Tuesday off. We will not meet next Tuesday, the 26th. I will be at a beach in South Carolina where they are open. Thank you, South Carolina. Getting a little bit of sun and a couple of days off from this insanity. And then we will be back together on June 2nd. So first Tuesday of the month, 4 p.m. Eastern, June 2nd, mark your calendars. We'll be meeting every Tuesday at 4, first Tuesday of the month at 4. If we need to go back to weekly, if this thing takes a devastating left turn of some type and we need to get together more often because there's more that we have to say to each other, I'm fine with that. So let me know, reach out to me. If you need more support, I will absolutely consider it. But where we've been attendance-wise the last couple of weeks, while it's been very strong, I think most of you are getting busier and your traffic's better and you're working on making sales and you don't have as much time to attend as much stuff. So I want to keep that in mind. So I'm flexible, I'm here. There's also the possibility of some live interactions within Facebook, within our Facebook group. And so I'm looking at that in between our monthly Zoom town halls. Perhaps we do some very specialized Facebook Lives within our Facebook group. Of course, Facebook has also rolled out Facebook Rooms where we could have some live chat and some smaller group interactions in there. So by not having a weekly broadcast every single week and putting on a weekly show, it'll give me some time to kind of work on a smaller scale on some things within our group, which I think will be cool and something different completely. So that's where we are. So the next time I see you will be June 2nd. All right, number 2, website traffic update. Mixed week. Many of the reports I looked at today in preparation were, I would say were down week over week traffic. Average was 17% down week over week. I did have a handful that were up, and the ones that were up averaged 7.5% up, 17% down. I think people are just busier. You know, they're not at home consuming as much online as they have been. They are phasing back into getting to offices. It really depends on the state and the location. What is interesting is if we go month over month, or year over year, the numbers continue to blow me away. I looked at one today, Midwest, that was 70% up year over year. So non-COVID and COVID year over year, spring home builder traffic up 70% on their website. That's crazy. I would say most of them are more in the range of 30 to 40% up month over month, year over year. So your website traffic should still be up as a bigger trend, and as should be your live chat numbers, your click to call numbers, your clicking on email link numbers. All of that should definitely be up. And I think we're also going to find, once we do our next segment, when we talk about self-service and self-tours and so forth, those numbers are way up as well. So there's a lot of interactions happening. There's a lot of conversations happening. And don't discount, if you're a builder listening, don't discount how much of your salespeople's time it is taking to weed through all of these conversations. It's a lot of chatting, it's a lot of texting, it's a lot of phone calling. For some of you, that is then converting into amazing sales numbers. You're killing it. And then there's others of you texting, calling, that haven't seen a sale in 2 or 3 weeks, and you're getting kind of concerned. So whenever you're diagnosing, remember to take each section of this to try to take apart what you need to improve upon or correct in order to make sales happen. So if you're looking at website traffic and live chat traffic and self-tour traffic, that is up 30 and 40%. So you're getting eyeballs, you're getting interest, but then it's not getting to the point of writing a contract, then that's the part of it that we want to look at and figure out where do we tweak, right? So it's generally one of a handful of things, and we can fix those things if we're kind of looking at the right part of the buyer journey and the buyer process. Kerry's, who will be on later as our expert panelist, is definitely more of an expert on this sales side than I am. I'm really the marketing person, but don't forget to kind of, that's why we pay attention to your website numbers, because if you're experiencing low or no sales, but yet there's a lot of visibility, then, you know, we got to figure it out. If there's not a lot of visibility and not a lot of initial online conversations happening, then that's a whole different story, okay? So I think that's where some of you are finding yourselves and what you're kind of working through. So I would encourage you to kind of get really specific about what you're seeing as you try to diagnose it. The next item I have on my list for you is, wow. Last week's Love It or List It segment of our Bold series, which we're going to take a break from today because I think we have a lot to talk about on the self-tours. We'll pick back up on it June 2nd. Last week's segment really struck a chord or something. I don't know. A lot of times when I'm thinking about what I want to talk about, I write all my notes out, I think about it, I brainstorm it, I do all these things, but I don't know necessarily what's going to really connect with you, what isn't. Yeah, this did. And so a lot of you have reached out, and your kind words to me have just been powerful and motivating and amazing, and I appreciate them and I thank you for them. I think there's a number of you I heard from that were right in the middle of, as far as your own kind of place with your career, love it, list it, weren't sure which direction you want to go there. I wanted to offer you a resource that I meant to mention last week, but it got away from me. And actually, Angela, one of our panelists later today, it really gets the credit for this resource because she's the one that recommended it to me. And it's a book called No Hard Feelings. So it's about emotion at work. And there's a lot of other types of information in this book. I'm listening to it on Audible, but the chapter I just finished is about kind of reigniting your passion for your work when you're feeling a little burned out. And they have a whole list of tips the two authors do, Liz and Molly, on this idea of kind of reigniting your passion. And they're great, they're practical, they're very useful. So I just wanted to offer that as a resource, as a follow-up to last week, that if you're kind of in that zone where you're trying to figure it out and you want to love it, you do want to, then maybe one of these little techniques would be helpful to you. And several of them resonated with me as things I've done in the past. I didn't even know I was doing them, and they were actually helpful to kind of reinvigorate me. So I wanted to bring that up. Okay, so here's a question for you. I want you to go to chat, and I want you to chat in how many of you, we've got quite a good number of you on today, how many of you, if you don't mind sharing, actually do have a self-tour or a self-service remote entry access program that you are currently utilizing. So I'm going to let you guys do that in the chat. So go ahead and share that. And while I do that, I'm going to get our guests on the screen here and get them unmuted. So hold on, ask to start video. So does anybody who's doing it now? All right, hold on, I got to get Corey unmuted. All right, start video, unmute. Okay, so we've got a few of you. All right, let's see. We've got Andy Lenar. You guys are running your program. Yes, I have seen that. There's Ashley. Hey, Ashley. I think I did know that. Okay. Oh, Sam's asking me the name of the book. That is No Hard Feelings. No Hard Feelings. And I bet you Angela will put a link to the book in our chat for us. Hey, you guys.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so let me introduce to everyone that's on the call our three panelists today. We've got Allison Moriarty of MI Homes here in Raleigh. Right?
Hello, Meredith.
Hello. And we've got Corey Masters, Beacon Homes. Yeah, and you're based out of Boise, but your Beacon is Oklahoma City, right?
That's right.
Markets. That's right. Okay. And then we've got Noemi Kenzie with Tower Builders. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you're out of Birmingham, right, Noemi?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Okay, so just to get everybody kind of started and oriented, when we say self-tour, self-service, remote access, kind of, will one of you jump in and just kind of explain the basics of what that means or what that is? Anybody want to tackle that for me?
Sure, I can do that if you don't care.
Okay, Corey, how about?
So we kind of call it Tour Now for our company. And what we do is we have a smart lock in our doors that allows people to come and visit our homes without the need of having a sales agent in that home. So what people do is they call, we give them you can give them a code or you can open the home remotely for them, and then they can tour the home and someone will follow up with them. That's kind of like the short version of it. There's much more that goes into it, but that's it.
Yeah. All right. Allison, Noemi, are your programs similar to that? How do they kind of work? Just the basics. Yeah.
Yes. So ours, very similar. We are using a service called NterNow. And basically what that is they ship us the locks. They track all of the information. We have access to the information, but it allows customers to enter the house on their own, provided that it's daylight hours, enter and tour the house on their own. And then we have all the information from that customer in order to follow up with them and make sure or see if that home works for them or if perhaps something else would work for them.
Okay. Noemi, how does your program compare or differ from that premise?
Yeah, we are actually using NterNow as well. So I think Allison summed it up for us really nicely. We just started to implement this in April since the pandemic started in our state in Alabama. And so we tested it on 2 of our spec homes, and it's been a great tool for us.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So that's my next question is this, which homes do you use this technology on? Like how do you decide? Are we talking models with furnishings in them or empty inventory homes? Like, how does that work?
Okay, well, I jump in. We basically decided to test it in 2 of our spec homes in a community which had a model home. However, we didn't feel confident leaving the self-tour option on our model home.
Okay.
But we utilized this when our agents worked from home or when they were not on site. So basically, this system comes with signage which you put in front of the spec home. So that way, somebody who is touring your community, they're aware that there is a self-showing option to enter the homes. And that's basically how we advertise this self-touring option. And I have to say, to NterNow, they also provided us with some videos which we put on our website, as well as some social media campaign which we also implemented. And that's basically how prospects knew that we have this self-showing option, because it's important to let them know that they can tour on their own time. So
yes. Corey and Allison, how about you all? How did you decide which homes to offer this on? What types of homes are you doing?
Right now.
Go ahead, Corey.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say we chose 10 homes, all inventory homes. The majority of them were older inventory homes, so they're all finished homes. We chose 2 that actually have furniture in them, but they are not considered models, and we put the locks on those. And we've had to move some of our locks around because those homes sold. So, but we started with 10.
Okay. Yeah. Corey, how about you?
Basically the same. They're all inventory homes. At the point that they're move-in ready, I believe that's when they install the locks. But the funny thing, or the interesting thing, is the way that Beacon Homes is doing it is we're using the smart lock that you're just going to have in your home. And we're using our alarm system to open the home. So it's something that the homeowner can keep once they want to move in, or once they buy the home. So it's very interesting because we don't have to spend any extra on special locks. In the past, I've used Rentley, and I know those locks can be quite expensive. So this is I think Beth, my manager, is the one that kind of did everything to get this working, and it's a very good system. It actually works very, very well. It's very fast. Even for me, working in Boise, I had someone do a tour now. It opened instantly. For the home, there was no delay, no nothing. It was very good. And then it doesn't require any extra hardware for the homeowner or for the builder. So it's a different way. I've never seen it done this way before, for sure.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to share with you all and our audience, I'm going to hit share screen 1 second here. Let me get my Google. Okay, hold on. Let me try again. Share screen. Oh, Meredith. Okay, here we go. I wanted to show all of you this. So in researching today's topic and making sure that I had as much information as I could, I went to Google, my favorite place, and look what happened. So let me back up. I have this preset, but here's what I discovered. I started typing in self-tour. That's all I typed. And look what happened. So this is called Autofill with Google search. You're probably familiar with that, right? Mm-hmm. What Autofill means is people are searching this. Autofill happens because and Google doesn't tell us the number, or if they do, somebody chat it in because I don't know the number, but I don't think they reveal like how many searches it takes for it to become an autofill thing, right? But it's a volume, it's a bulk. It's meaning that enough people are typing this in. So if you're sitting here kind of listening to these, industry leaders who are on the edge of this and are really moving quickly, and you're thinking, I don't know if that's really, yeah, no, it's a thing. Look, self-tour. So this, and then the other thing that I saw when I started playing with this was, okay, so then I went, okay, self-tour homes for sale. Hello. Look what is the first Google organic result. Mm-hmm. Now, this was not something I realized in leading up to this event today. I'm not saying I was the expert on this topic. That's why I invited people to talk about it. But I did not realize that Open Door and Zillow both, and Redfin, had introduced this. Where's Redfin? They're on here somewhere. Had introduced this with the homes that they purchase on the resale side. When they purchase, they now have these. Did you guys know that this was going on, or was it just me that didn't know this?
I didn't know it either, Meredith.
So I guess my point is, let's see, let me type in Redfin self-tour. I frequently tell, here we go. I frequently tell our builder clients, look, yes, your competition, you're competing against other builders and other new construction in the neighborhood down the street, but you're also competing with apps, your website anyway, with apps like Zillow and Redfin, where people can do advanced searches and really get a lot of information. And now, not only can they get all that information on the listings, while they're there, they can just let themselves in.
Yeah. And even rental companies are doing it too.
Yes, because that's the other thing that pops up. When you start typing this self-tour, here's self-tour apartments for rent. So I'm trying to think, how else did I type it in? Did I write this down? Hold on. There was another way I did it. Homes. No, I'm sorry. I don't remember, but there was another search I did that was not only self-tour homes for sale, but the rest of it said near me. And that's when I really freaked out, because I was like, holy cow, they are actively searching on Google for this opportunity near me. And that's when I thought, oh, Nelly, I'm really glad we're talking about this today. Oh, here we go. Look, let yourself in homes for rent. Like, people are seeking out listings where they can self-tour. And I know that our people on the call, and I'll stop my share and get our gallery video back up, but I know that those of you that specialize in this, like, I know like NterNow and UTour and those folks, they're probably here and they're probably listening in, and you guys probably all knew that, right? It's your area of expertise. But me, the builder marketer, I didn't realize until I started researching it, there's a lot of demand and desire for this opportunity, right? So do you, trying to unmute Noemi there. Okay. So what do you guys, like, what kind of feedback do you hear from people after they've been through these? Like, do you get conversations of this, about this, and thanking you for it? Or what kind of feedback do you get?
So we launched this about a week and a half ago at Beacon Homes, and I did it in the past with a different, and I've done it in the past too with a different builder with very high volume. And the best thing is that people love it. They are obsessed with it. And once they start going to a home, they'll call you back to go see that same home. And you'll know they're very interested, because they'll keep going back to that same one and opening it. And they take their family, they take their husband, and they take their kids after school. And you're like, it's like another way of knowing what they're doing all the time. And I know as a millennial, I don't want to talk to anyone. And I know my husband is antisocial. So for him, the opportunity to go out and see a home without having to talk to a sales agent, even though I'm in the industry, it's the best thing that can happen to him. At the same time, I feel like I was very skeptical about it when it all started. For example, Rently, and I don't know how NterNow works, but Rently requires you to put a credit card before you enter the home.
I saw that on the website when I was researching it today.
It's only, I think they only charge you $1 to do as many as you want to do. But the way that we're doing it at Beacon Home, we're only requiring people to send me a picture of their ID. That way we know who's entering the home for incidentals or anything. So that way it's been easier for me, and I haven't received as much pushback, because I tend to think about things two ways. The way I would do it, which I'm very free, I don't care, I'll give you my credit card, whatever. And then there's my husband that will be like, I don't care. And then there's my husband who will question every single way and reason, why would you give them your credit card? So to me, the way that we do it, it's much easier. And to some other people, I know they love the Rently, and it worked really, really well.
It worked well for them.
Yeah, and they can go after hours too.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from your self-touries?
Okay, so we started this about, how I said, 2 months ago, and I think, you know, what we are finding is those people are a little bit further away from making the purchasing decision. So they might be more like 4 to 6 months than immediate buyer, at least in our market or our area. The only concern we have got was from our agents who felt that they do want to be in charge of that showing process and of that sales process. So it took a little bit of, you know, work to get them on board with this program. And I have to say, NterNow has been very helpful, and they help us onboard our agents, they train them, and I think our agents, you know, gained more confidence in the whole self-showing process. So that was our experience. But I would agree with Corey. I think the people who came view our homes were absolutely, you know, excited about having this opportunity, especially in times of social distancing. So
yeah, Allison, you know, you and I have been through a lot of sales training.
Yes, we have.
Which is a nice way of saying we've been in the industry a hot second.
Uh-huh.
And we have been trained and brought up with this idea of accompanied visits and walking people through a tour. I mean, that's the essence of like good new home selling. We don't just let people wander through models. Like, we walk with them and talk with them and we bond. So how do we like, and I didn't ask you this ahead of time, so we're on the fly here, but I'm just thinking out loud, like, how do we kind of shift gears? Like, I don't want our salespeople, when you're at the model, just be like, yeah, go take a look.
Right.
Based on what we're saying. But at the same time, this does seem to be something people want. So do you have any like thoughts on like how we square all that up?
Well, first of all, I'll say that, you know, times have changed, and, you know, we find ourselves in a different circumstance. And when times change, if you keep doing things the way that you're always doing them, then shame on you. So for us, it, you know, and I have always been one that has said, you need to accompany the person. But there's always been that segment of the population, even prior to COVID-19, that there's always been that segment of the population that they just don't want to be accompanied by a salesperson. They don't want to be sold. And, you know, no matter what, they just don't want to be sold. I think for those people, they're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. Now I really don't have to walk with a salesperson. Not that you're still not going to be sold, but you just may not have to walk through with a salesperson. You know, so I think that, you know, it's one of those things where for the people that didn't want a salesperson initially, then hey, they got that little, you know, they don't have to walk into the model and be sold, but yet they could view this house that kind of looks interesting from the outside. They can go on in and tour it themselves. But it doesn't mean that someone's not going to follow up with them. And that's where for us, we put our internet sales managers in charge of handling those folks when they enter the home. And so our internet sales managers are the ones that are following up with them initially. And then it will change hands if, you know, once it's time to transfer over to the salesperson. So I think you have to have a good process and, you know, for setting it all up. But, you know, going back to your first question, our customers absolutely have loved it. And those that were, you know, those that were new and had never seen MI homes before, you know, seen our homes before, they are gravitating to this. And for those that were already on the edge and maybe kind of had their eye on one of our homes, when they see other people going into it, then it's kind of like, hey, you know what? I like that house. That could be mine. And so it's been real eye-opening for us. It really has. We installed our locks on April 2nd and April 3rd, and we've sold 12 homes since then that were NterNow. So I believe in it wholeheartedly.
Yeah. And it sounds like at least Noemi, Allison, from what you guys were saying, you plan to continue. Like this isn't just because
absolutely.
of shelter in place. Corey, you think you guys plan to continue as well?
Oh yeah, this was something that was planned to get started even before
Okay.
the pandemic
Okay.
started.
Yeah.
So it didn't
So-
just happen because of it. We were
Okay.
wanting to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Allison shared some results. If you all, and I don't want to put anybody in a position of sharing too much of your proprietary information, but you know, if you have some kind of basic results you can share, I'm sure people would want to hear that. And then I've seen a couple questions come in on cleaning and a couple other things that we're going to hit on here next. So Corey, what kind of results have you guys experienced?
Well, Beacon Homes, we sell about 100 homes a year. So we haven't seen a sale from it yet, and we just started about a week ago. But I know
Right.
if this is something that can help an OSC out there, when I heard about the new tour now coming out, I was like, I'm not going to make any money. I'm not going to set any appointments. These people are just going to go out and see our homes without an appointment.
They're going to go around you. They're going around you, right?
And it's been completely different, to be honest. It's something that people call in. Most of them are in the community, so I don't count them as an appointment the first time they tour a home. But because they're very interested and they've seen the home online and they've driven out there to see it, and then they see it and they walk through it, I have the opportunity to call them and set an appointment for them to meet with the builder or with the sales agent. And they are very qualified leads. And I know the one that we had this last weekend was a very good one. So I believe we're going to see very good results from it. In the past, I know with different builders, it's been about 15% of sales that originated from a tour now. So I know it's a very good source.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
How about you, Noemi? Let me make sure. Hold on. Let me get you unmuted. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. So we had so far, we had 25 self-tours from the 2 homes we are allowing this. And again, I would say we didn't have a direct sale from resulting from these tours yet. As I said, they seem to be a little bit further away from the purchasing decision. But overall, you know, we definitely are grateful to have this opportunity. And also it's been nice to see when we would have the traffic from self-tours after hours when our agents were not on site, so that we have the way to capture these leads and nurture them, and our agents have ultimately the right to reach out to them immediately because they get notified as well. So
one of the directions that my brain was going as I was doing the research and getting ready for today was I really believe that the way that we work, how we work, where we work, the nature of our work is going to change after this. I think there will be some long-term impacts on that, which may mean that our schedules, because for now, our schedules have been really weird, right? I've worked more hours in the past 60 days than I've worked, you know, just very long hours. So if you wanted me to tour something, I would have needed to do it in the evening
on your own
later. Yeah. I couldn't even, home builder helpline never stops ringing till late in the evening. And so, but I don't think that's just a short-term impact. I think the whole work from home virtual thing will be a much longer term impact, which means people's schedules get impacted, which then their ability to come during our very defined hours is impacted, which means they can kind of fit in all of that as well as a potential thing. So that's another place my head was going.
And so Meredith, I will say this, sorry to interrupt you, and I don't know how the other panelists are, what sort of time frames they're seeing, but the majority of our traffic from NterNow starts around 5 o'clock. And so it's, you know, we do get a few showings during the day, but the majority of it starts around 5 o'clock, which definitely tells you that these people are more than likely working from home initially, and then either they're going out for a walk and deciding that they want to move within their own neighborhood, or they're going out for a drive, but it typically does not start until around 5 o'clock, and it goes up to about 7 o'clock, which tells you, you know, for a normal model, typically most of them are closing at 5 or 6 anyway. So this is traffic you would have never seen anyway, which is why it really leads me to believe that I want to continue it way beyond COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. And you were sharing with me when we were preparing for this, you've got all that, you know, depending on what service you work with, like you've got a whole dashboard of information, Allison, and you're getting all kinds of data, like what times they're coming in. And Corey, you guys might be somehow gathering that as well. What, you know, again, without over sharing anything proprietary, what kind of data have you found interesting? Like you were talking about what times they're utilizing it. What are some of the other data points that you've been paying attention to?
Well, for us, our system, the NterNow, allows us to see where the prospect is living. So we are able to see where they came from, where they live. So that has been interesting. So the first day when we installed the log boxes, of course, we've got some neighbors, just probably noisy neighbors looking. But, you know, we were able to weed them out. We knew, okay, well, this is just a neighbor looking, what is going on here with this sign. But other than that, I thought it was a great information to get to see how far they traveled, where they live. Just again, great insight, which we would maybe normally not know.
That's right. Corey, what about you? What have you picked up on?
Yeah, so I've been using this even before the pandemic started, since maybe August, September. So to me, one of the most interesting thing is with Renly, we used to get a report every single day of how many people were coming in. And some days we would have 20 showings of the same person going into the same house. So they would come in the morning, go see the home, get off of lunch, go see the home again. And that's someone that, I mean, it's amazing information is what we do with our website, you know, with Lasso. Oh, this person's on the website, but they're actually seeing the home.
But
and then you would
in person.
I know, we would call the sales agent and be like, go out there now. They're there right now. Give them a call right now. And they would buy. So to me, that was the most interesting thing, to see how many times they would go back into that same home. And you would call them and be like, did you forget something? Can I help you? Do you need any more information? And they'll be like, no, I'm sorry, I wanted to bring my mom to show them the home. No, I'm sorry, I wanted to bring my dad. And that's something that as an OSC, if I see them on the website and I keep calling them, at least I know they're right there right now, you know? It's so interesting to me how everything works. It's very cool. Very cool.
Allison, any other data points you've kind of seen from your dashboard that you were like, insight, interesting?
Well, you know, I think just the ability to, number one, have the phone number. You know, for us, we have a phone number, we have an address of the person. And so, you know, of course, we go crazy and look up in tax records, is that near our community? You know, do they own a home? Are they renting? It's just so much information. But the coolest part is when you see a sale come through and you go, hey, that name is from NterNow. It's just a really, really good marketing tool, really good marketing tool.
Yeah. So cleaning in between tours, how do you facilitate that if your agent's not there? How does that work? How do you guys make sure that you're doing that? Anybody? Is anyone cleaning?
I know we clean during business hours. We haven't had any outside of business hours tour now yet that I know of. But I know during business hours they disinfect. They go in with Lysol and they disinfect everything every single day.
And we go in between the tours and wipe down the high touch areas.
Sure.
And we also have gloves that are in the home in case anyone wants to put them on, gloves and booties, you know, prior to entering. So that helps as well.
Okay. All right. And we've got a question about, let's see, Okay, we got cleaning. We did that one. Oh, what about a multifamily condo with condos to show? Do you think a self-tour could work at a presentation center type of thing?
I think as long as there's something to actually show, you know, that they have to have something to walk through, is my take on it. Anything that they can walk through, even if it's just a small area to view, you know, if you say you've got a first floor that you could view, and I don't know how you would set that up with a multi-unit builder in a condo situation, but as long as there's something to see, then absolutely. I think people just want to experience what it feels like to walk in the front door.
Mm-hmm. And I think we've kind of answered this one, but somebody asked, you know, do you plan to keep this going once this is over? And I think yes. And I mean, I've known Lynn at NterNow for years. She's an amazing lady and has worked so hard to build her business. And it kind of reminds me of, like, for years and years, I preached like website, online leads. And then finally kind of everybody got it. And then we had liftoff. And I feel like that's kind of happening with this also, you know, so it's been around. I mean, she's been around with her business for some time. And somebody did ask, what are some of the different services out there? Another one is U-Tour, the letter U, Tour. We've mentioned Rently. If anybody else has another one that they want to chat in, please do. We're brand agnostic today. We're not promoting any particular vendor. I talked to all of them prior to this and invited them to have panelists and participate in the live chat and so forth. So we're happy because, you know, everybody has a different need and you have to find the right tool for you. Price ranges. Somebody asked, what price ranges are your communities? Do you think this has any price range implications? Or
I don't think so. I think all the homes we have go from the lowest price inventory home available right now to the highest one we can have. I think it's a good thing to show everything you can.
Yeah,
I agree.
What about you on price range? Do you have any feelings that it would matter on that? Yeah, no? Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a second last call for questions for this panel and this particular topic. Andy, who is a sales agent on site in Jacksonville, Florida. Andy and I have been friends for many, many years. She was recommending she bleaches all doorknobs, light switches, and banisters after each tour. And then I also think, Andy, I saw you write in, yes, when people are doing the tour, she FaceTimes them during the tour to try to connect, which I think is a cool idea, right? So we've all got to kind of figure it out as you try it. What would be some lessons learned from the panel that you guys kind of figured out the hard way, or you know, wish maybe you did differently from when you started to now? Anything?
Well, when I was doing it at a different company, we started getting the calls directly, or the request to enter the home going directly to the sales agents on site. And we discovered that wasn't going very well because they were busy. Same thing that happens with online leads. I mean, but at the same time, I think the agents needed to realize that they were not available to take those as much as they wanted them, and they felt like it's an on-site traffic. This deserves to be mine, not an online traffic. Once they realized that we took over as an OSC team and we nurtured them and we gave them more sales, more appointments, more sales, overall they were happy. But I think that was a lesson that they needed to see, like, even though I want this, I'm an on-site agent, I don't have time to follow up with them.
Really to manage and facilitate it. Because it does sound like it needs that. Allison, are you guys funneling these through your online sales counselor?
We are. And initially, the same thing that Corey said, initially, some of our sales agents did not understand, you know, why can't this just go directly to me? And for me, it was hey, I know I've got two online sales managers, and for me, I know that one of them always has to be on with handling the leads. And so it was for my assurance that they would get taken care of and taken care of properly. So, you know, what did I learn? You know, that was another thing that I learned, aside from that, was for us, we tried, you know, we even said, hey, you know, agents, if you want to handle one, then let our internet sales managers know that. And we discovered that it was a disaster. So that was the first thing that I learned. And then the second thing was that you have, even from the online sales counselors perspective, initially they were calling right as the customer entered the home. And we found that maybe a better approach, because some of those folks weren't answering immediately. So what we found was, if they texted them, sort of like an online chat person available for the builder, if they texted them initially, then that they started to get a little bit better response. And it was, you know, maybe right after they exited the home, then it was, you know, a response to the chat. But they were not, you know, we weren't getting as good of response when we were calling immediately. So, you know, that was something that we learned. But definitely make sure that you establish up front who's going to manage the leads. You know, if you're going to use a system like NterNow, then make sure that you know who's going to install those locks. And you know, there's some logistics that have to be worked out. And then who's going to manage the dashboard? Because there's all kinds of things that you have to think about. And, you know, I will say, for anyone that is looking at trying this, I did put my phone number up to encourage your managers, if they want to call me. I'm happy to walk anyone through the process. And, you know, it really is easy. Whatever you decide to do, I think that if you're not doing anything, then that's probably not a great choice. But, you know, if you decide that you want to do this, then I'm happy to give any feedback to any managers that would like to talk about it.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Noemi, what about you? Any other kind of different lessons or points you want to bring up?
Yeah, so the way we have it set up is that we do not have anybody who handles our online leads. So it is our agent responding directly, and I'm copied on all the leads as well. But we had the same experience with when our agents tried to call somebody who was already viewing the home, they would not respond immediately. So text message or next day follow-up worked better. But again, I think it's probably ideal to have somebody else handling these leads. And if they can, just do, you know, the text follow-up initially.
You know, it strikes me as I'm listening to you that the technology gives the visitor the feeling of like freedom and independence, but actually we're gathering all this data on them. We actually know more about them and what they're interested in. Like, if you think about it, oh my gosh, a Big Brother is gonna get you. I mean, they are gonna watch what you're doing. It's cool when you're in sales and marketing, and it is super creepy when you're a consumer, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, with this kind of thing, we're getting a lot of information with them. So I think what's important for you guys that are listening and attending today, it's the same thing every week. My overall theme has been, what are you doing to make sales happen? What are you doing to be proactive? And maybe a self-tour technology isn't the right answer, but maybe something else is, but something needs to be. Because like Allison said, if you're not trying something new and different, when new and different is the norm, then you're in idle. You're just sitting in neutral, not gunning it at when the light turns green, right? And that's going to be problematic. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys and bring on the panel for that next segment. But before I do that, I just want to say, for all of you guys that are listening in, like, it's so funny when I reach out to people and ask them to participate. Like, some dodge my calls completely. Some people are like, yes, but I'm so scared. I don't think I can do it. Some people have responded, my builder won't let me share information. I've had that a number of times, which I understand. I don't want to get anybody fired, right? But at the same time, we are here to learn from each other. We're trying to build a community. So every week, for the people like yourselves that really have nothing to gain from sharing, it's just, I hope everybody really appreciates and sends the love back to you for doing this, because it's very cool. It's very cool. Yeah. So thank you guys for your time. I'm going to stop your
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop your videos and mute you guys. Bye. And there go their squares. Okay. And bring on panelists. Okay. Hello, Angela. Hello, Kerry. Hello, Matt. How are you guys?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing really good. All right, let me make sure okay, Allison, I got you muted. All right, Matt, where are you? Asked to start video. Okay, hold on. I gotta unmute Kerry. Unmute. We're here. We did it.
It's us.
Hey, welcome back from the beach, Matt. That looked like a good weekend little trip you had there.
Nobody's supposed to know that I went to the beach.
Well, you're not supposed to put it on Facebook then.
Oh yeah, my wife did that. My bad.
And happy anniversary too, right?
Yes, it is our wedding anniversary today. Yeah, somebody had to remember, right? And it was our in-laws and my parents sent cards saying happy anniversary the other day, and we went, oh yeah, Tuesday's our anniversary.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I think anybody who is still married through this crisis, you're doing well. You're doing well. This is a test of all relationships for sure. Okay. So for our part of the panel today, first up, I'll just ask you any thoughts, anything you wanted to add in to the discussion we just had on the self-tour thing, anything you found particularly interesting or points you want to relate to it from your experiences. Anybody have anything on that?
I think the first thing that I would share is that in these times, anything you can do to extend, if you think retail, that you can extend your hours. When Allison said that the majority of them happens at 5 and later, customer experience, extended shopping hours, all of that as we're all trying to figure out how do we deliver a better and stronger experience, and hopefully that gets us more sales, I still think that it appears that answers that.
Yeah, that makes sense to you, right? How about you, Ange?
Well, just really thinking about the sales process. So, we heard Allison talk about just, having to make some changes throughout the process and what worked and what didn't, and just being really cognizant that it is different and to treat it a little bit differently and be able to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah. And for everybody listening, on ECI Lasso's website, Angela just did an in-depth interview and webinar with Lynn, the owner and founder of NterNow. And so if you go under, I watched it today to prep for today's meeting. And so I think it's under resources webinars. Is that right?
That's right. At lassocrm.com.
Okay. If you want to put the link in the chat, it's fine, because it's very super relevant to today. So if you want like an in-depth one on that, they've got a great resource. Matt, anything out of the self-tour conversation that hit you?
Yeah, I think that the transition of getting everyone's mindset into the whole on-demand access, right, is a salesperson, we like cringe at the thought that someone could get into one of our homes without us giving the tour, right? And so I really relate that back to, like, for me personally, maybe a decade ago when we first started introducing the online sales program, right? And if you've implemented that program at your company at all, you'll know that the minute you took away, you said, hey, all those phone numbers that would normally come directly to you, the salesperson, are now going to go to the OSC. There was just like, whoa. And no, that's freaking me out. I want all this coming to me. And it's like, but the reality is you can't answer the phone, right? Like, you can't. And so I think that the on-demand access, to Kerry's point, is extending this to much more of a retail environment, because we close our models at 6 o'clock, right? Mm-hmm. Most people are on their way home during the week at 6 o'clock. And so to be able to extend that from a consumer perspective is good for them, which is good for us. And just know that it is going to be a bit of a transition point, just like it was if you ever implemented an OSC program. And that's because there's going to be pushback, and that's okay. You just got to push through the pushback. Yeah. And so I think, to me, that's the big, like,
we've
logistics.
been afraid for years that technology was going to replace us.
Right.
You know, remember when MLS went online? Like, I was at the front end of that, just getting into the industry. That was part of my job, was to take that book that was in the grocery stores and put that online as the early entity of what is now BDX New Home Source. And it was freaking out. We're not going to need realtors anymore. And it's never happened that we haven't needed a human being.
Right.
In fact, we need them more because we're overwhelmed with all the data and all the information.
Right.
So I know that thought occurred to me as I listened. I thought, hey, don't be worried. This means we don't need you. It means we need you even more. And the conversations you have are much further along and better when this has already occurred. Right. Yeah. I mean, I talked to a salesperson today who's drowning in, which is a great problem. She wasn't complaining, but she's like, Meredith, I'm doing so many live chats and so many phone calls and all this stuff all day long. Like, you know, so fewer, higher quality conversations, not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. So I challenged you guys for this week, switching topics. We have a lot of people that have only joined us in the last week or two. And we've been at this like 9 or 10 weeks now. I forget how many exactly.
Been that long? Holy moly.
It's sort of a blur. Most of us have longer and grayer hair by now. But anyway, what have been some of your favorite ahas, takeaways? Like, what are some cliff notes that we can offer people that maybe have just tuned in the last couple of weeks throughout some of the town halls that you've been a part of? Who wants to jump in?
I'll go.
Okay, let's have it.
For me, it was, from the very beginning, what we talked about was you've got to make sure that your processes are dialed in. Because and it's really, and we were talking about this a little bit, kind of beating around the bush with this via text message earlier today in a text thread. And I really see this right now as a true case of the haves and the have-nots. Right? Like, we talk about that from normal society, but as a business, the haves are the people who invested in their processes, in the supporting product, in the tools to support their people, even though they were still selling in a decade's worth of great market. And the builders that haven't, they're the have-nots. And there's a distinct line that has been drawn in the sand for results during COVID.
Right.
A distinct line of success, and the ones that have and the ones that have not. And it is purely right there in front of us when it comes to sales results. To me, without a doubt, unequivocally right there, plain as day.
Okay. Awesome. Well said. Here.
Oh,
Cheers. He's on fire today. Hey. Carrie, how about you? What are some favorite things?
I have a couple, and Matt, damn, that was good.
Right?
Is that because it's so true?
Right?
Is that I think that the smattering of experts that we had, in that if you pulled, like, I will always remember, and I have seen so many people with Brian saying, push the damn button.
Yeah.
That I think that I have seen so many salespeople that are like totally freaked out of a camera, Zoom, just anything, that are like, all right, if it's gotta be, you know, like builders started requiring it, and where builders a lot of times require things and then they never put any teeth in it and it doesn't necessarily ever happen and it dies. No, it's like by Friday, I want 3 BombBomb videos in my box from you. So accountability came from some tools.
Yeah.
I think is valuable.
Yeah. So for you, having a variety of tools presented, kind of like we did again today,
right?
And you pick and choose what fits your business model and what fits your culture and your buyers. Yeah. But
it's okay. It's that, and the energy just really quickly is like when Matt and everybody got on Steve and they pitched all their tools and this is how it'll make it easier and stuff. I'm like, well, crap, if Matt Riley says I have to have this, I have to have this. So I go on, I buy it, I get the freaking thing, and I'm like, I don't need this. So I gift it to somebody else who I know needs it. But it was just like, if you cared enough to care and be part of this, you learned, even if you bought and re-gifted it.
Are you telling me my Christmas gift from you is there going to be a Matt Riley re-gift purchase?
No idea.
Like it.
Well, I like techie stuff,
right.
So if it's something like that, it's on like Donkey Kong. We're all good.
You'll like it, Meredith. It's all good.
Yeah, put Matt in charge of my Christmas. I'm good. I'm good. Angela, how about you? What are some favorite things?
For me, when you spoke about breaking barriers, and to me, that just kind of encapsulated everything that we have been talking about. And we're problem solvers. And it, goes back to Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And it's not, in this time, it's not about sort of, our brand and what the features and floor plans and all of that. It's really, we're solving problems. That video that you showed for, I think it was MI Homes, that about the basements, right? It's just thinking in a different way, different perspective. And to me, that segment really hit home for me. And the second item, just a little like, the fact that we're here, the community that you have built, Meredith, and the friendships that have been made, and all of you that are on right now, I think that has been so important to me. We talk back and forth, the 4 of us, but also just encourage that communication and that dialogue. And I hope that doesn't go away.
Yeah. I think I said last week, and it's really true, that our lack of in-person has actually, I think, forced us and motivated us to try harder to talk to each other.
Yeah,
even though we're not in person, we're texting more and emailing more and FaceTiming more, and you kind of have to make an effort, because in your mind you're like, oh, I'll just see him this weekend, whoever it is. And it's like, no, you're not, if you don't make an effort, which is really true in real life too, right? In non-COVID, if we don't make an effort, we always say we'll see that friend, and then 5 years later we haven't.
Right.
Yeah. So, no, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a really good one that I want to share, and it's really good, not exactly from me, but I've stolen all this stuff, rip off and duplicate, R&D, and turn it into training. So all my teams are on right now are like, oh man, what's she gonna say? Matt, sit down, Ubu.
I know.
When Daryl started talking about the lifestyle names for the different rules and how to bring a blueprint to life, so it was so amazing. I took that and I wanted to say it because anybody that wants it, let me know and I'll send it to you. Because I talked with her and she said, I said that. I'm like, give me the list of what you talked from. She said there isn't a list. So I took what Daryl did, I kind of expanded on it, and I'm working with the lifestyle, the connection, you know, all those, and people are loving it and seeing results and models. So anybody that wants it, I'm happy to share it.
Yeah.
But she was
Yeah.
good.
No, I got so many messages last week, either on Love It or List It or on the floor plan selling, and just that was very valuable for different reasons and how they've used that. So if you are attending every week and you have a topic or a tech tool or something you want to learn, message one of us and tell us. It's hard to know. I do my best guesses at what's going to resonate with you, what I think you need, what I've observed that you need as we work together. But it may be something I haven't thought of, and I'm very open to your content suggestions. So please do that. That would be amazing. So I think the way that I'll bring all this together today, a couple of little points. One is Angela put in the chat box, you know, we put up a link to a webinar that Lasso did with NterNow, but there's also a link to a BDX podcast with UTour, which is another great product out there. And if you want to dive deeper on that one, the link is in the chat box. So definitely anybody else has another resource to share, it's fine. Along those lines, you can do that. So June 2nd, right? It's when we'll be back together. I don't know the topic yet. I'm working on it. So if you want to make a suggestion, I'm open. When and you guys probably don't even know this story. So back when I was with homebuilder.com in those early days where we were taking the book of MLS and getting it online, I went to hear a speaker at the Southeast Builder Show by the name of Charlie Plum. And I'm sitting there in like the sales rally, and Charlie Plum is speaking and tells his story. And it was really that moment that I looked up and I thought, well, I want to be Charlie Plum. Like, that's when I decided to be a speaker. And Charlie Plum's story is, and you can Google this and you can read all about it, and he does it way better on video than I do. But the short version is he's a POW who spent 6 years as a prisoner of war in a very tiny cell. And when he does his speech, he has like the size of the cell mapped out just to give you the visual of how small this space is, right? And the reason that he ended up as a prisoner of war is his plane was shot down. And he ejected. He was a pilot, and he ejected, and he parachuted out. And he was captured, but eventually was released and got to go home to be with his family and continue on with his life. So it's a success story. Like, he survived it. It was hard, but he survived it. So he tells a story that one day he is sitting in a restaurant and somebody comes up to him and goes, Charlie Plum. And he's like, what? Charlie Plum. I know you. He's like, we do? Yeah, we served together. And I forget the name of the ship they were on, but we served together on the ship. And as a matter of fact, I packed your parachute. What? My parachute? Yeah, the day your plane went down. I packed your parachute. And Charlie Plum was like, well, thank you. You did a really good job because I lived. Like, I parachuted out. I didn't die. You packed my parachute? He's like, yeah, that was my job. I was the parachute packer at the bottom of the aircraft carrier. You never met me. You wouldn't know me because you were a hot fighter pilot, you know, at the top of the ship. But I'm down here in the bottom of the ship, and I'm the guy that packs the parachutes. And I packed it the day you ejected safely. What? All right. So I'm at this conference. I'm watching Charlie Plum do this, and y'all should all Google this video of him telling this story because it's ridiculously cool. And I think to myself, I want to be Charlie Plum. And I'm like, well, but I haven't done any of these cool things that he's done. Whatever. So I shelved that. And so like 15 years later, I've built this speaking career. I'm doing all of these things. I'm at the National Speakers Association's annual conference. It's the year that I earned my CSP, Certified Speaking Professional, which is the highest designation you can get. It's a big deal. You get a gold medal and everything. I attend the CSP only event, and I sit down at the table And guess who was sitting next to me?
Charlie.
And Charlie Plum reached over and said, "Hi, I'm Charlie. Who are you?" Bawling my face off is what I'm doing. It's who I am. Here's the thing, you guys, and what as a panel, the four of us have been trying to do through this thing is we've been trying to pack your parachute. We've been trying, and some weeks failing, and some weeks better than others, and some weeks great. We've been trying to pack your parachute as you hit the ejection seat through COVID-19. And it's really been our pleasure, right, guys? I mean, it's we've gotten so much more out of packing it than you've gotten out of receiving it. But some of you, as Kerry said, have ejected magnificently. You have ejected with sales and videos and Zooms and bums and all this cool stuff. And it's like it comes full circle. And I had this full circle moment sitting next to the guy that inspired me to do what I do as his peer. I mean, it's just life is crazy, right? Yeah. So, you know, as you attend these things, if I reach out to you to participate, it's coming full circle, right? And when you get the opportunity, and these three folks have gotten to pack your parachute today. Allison packed your parachute today. Corey packed your parachute. Noemi packed your parachute, and all of our guests through the weeks. I mean, that's what we've been trying to do. So for those of you that have reached out to say thank you and how much this has meant to you, you fuel us, you keep us going. It's not easy to broadcast live to several hundred people every week. It's really rather hard, but we're doing it and we're enjoying it and we appreciate you. So my challenge to you and my send off today would be, whose parachute are you packing? Number one, go find somebody's parachute to pack that needs it. And number two, don't forget to be the person in the restaurant that walks up to Charlie Plum that you need to say thank you to, who's been packing yours. Yeah. Who in your personal life, who in your office life, who in your peer group is packing your parachute every day to help you be successful, that you need to say thank you to. Because really, Charlie, when he tells the story, he says, I was embarrassed that I didn't know him. But he was at the bottom of the ship and I was at the top. But he saved my life that day, right? Cool story. Google it. Yeah. All right. Final words. Anybody? Anybody?
I'm not following that story.
There's the book.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's a good one, right? Hey, Ange, that's it. That's it. Yeah. If you need resources because you're stuck in Love It or List It land and I left you there last week, I think that book will help. All right. Cool beans. Thank you guys. Have a great few days. Message us if you need us. Kerry's got resources for you with the floor plan selling.
I'll put it on the Facebook. I'll give it and you can put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah. Lasso's got tons of resources for you on their site. Groups. Matt's got 3 million podcasts. I've never seen anybody do as many podcasts as Matt. He's got tons of stuff for you too. So those of you that are with Triangle Sales and Marketing Council, we'll see you at the crack of dawn tomorrow morning, the three of us. And I think that's it. Okay. Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Pack somebody's chute. See ya. I'm now ejecting. Goodbye.